Are you ready to challenge the impossible?
His name is Nick Santonastasso.
Nick Santonastasso.
Welcome back to Max Out with Ed Milet. This man to my left, I think, is one of the most inspiring people on planet Earth today.
Welcome to Beijing.
At the time of my birth, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of them have passed away due to undeveloped organs.
Like any other 12-year-old, Nick Santonastasso enjoys football, skateboarding, and playing video games. And while these may sound like simple everyday activities, for Nick, they are anything but. He is one boy who defies the odds.
It's not about how many times we fall down. It's about how many times we get up and keep moving forward.
And an unbelievable public speaker, for the record, that you're going to hear about in a minute. But this is Nick Santonastasso.
Have you ever felt like you were invisible?
Give it up for Nick Santonastasso!
Have you ever felt like you weren't good enough? Raise your hand if at least one time in your life you said, why me? Look around the room. It's everyone. We all get a taste of that victim mentality, but why me? Why do I have to be born like this? Why do I have to be born with no legs and one arm? Why do the kids have to make fun of me? Why do I have to go through these challenges? What I've realized over the 23 years of my life, it's not the physical body that holds us back, but it's the mindset. The biggest disability you can have is a bad mindset.
Huge round of applause, please, ladies and gentlemen. Please welcome to the stage Nick Santonastasso, founder of Victorious International.
Distinguished guests, leaders, brilliant minds, it's an honor to be here with you here. Now, I'm just curious because I'm new to the UAE. With a show of hands, how many people have ever seen me before? How many people never seen me before? I've never seen you either. Now, I'm super excited to be here. And then what we're going to talk about today is the power of leadership psychology. You know, what I've realized, for those that don't know me, is I've trained over 1 million people live from stage. These are politicians, government leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs. And so when you've trained over 1 million people live from stage, you've gathered some data. And so I'm going to teach today based off the data. Now, there's a few things that the data showed me that I want to share with you. The first thing that the data showed after training all of these people is most leaders don't need to be taught, they need to be reminded. You are all brilliant individuals, but maybe today's message will be a gentle reminder and bring you back into your heart. The other thing that I've realized throughout the data is that in any business, any country, any leadership, any organization, the biggest chokehold is always the psychology of the leadership. The country will never grow as far as the belief system of the leaders. And it's a good thing that I moved to UAE, because UAE leaders do not have small thinking, they have no limiting beliefs, and they believe that everything is possible. Now, for those that don't know me and don't know why I look like this, I think it's important to share why I look like this before we get into the psychology of leadership. In 1996, my mother went in for a late ultrasound. They sat them down and they pulled the baby up on the screen, and suddenly the doctor started freaking out. They said, "What's wrong? What's going on with my baby?" And they said, "Well, from the looks of it, it doesn't look like your baby's limbs are being developed. It looks like he's missing his legs, it looks like he's missing his arms, and his face might be messed up." And in that moment, they classified me with hand-heart syndrome. Hand-heart syndrome is a super rare genetic disorder that either leaves the babies with undeveloped limbs or undeveloped organs. At the time of my birth in 1996, I was the 12th baby in medical history that they've ever seen this happen to. And out of the 12, 8 of those babies passed away due to undeveloped organs. The doctors looked my parents in their eyes and said, "Your baby boy has about a 30% chance to live." They said you shouldn't go forth with the pregnancy, you should give him away. They threw all their limiting beliefs at my parents. Similar to when the UAE was created. People said it would never be self-sustainable, you'd never make it, you'd never build something in the desert like this. True or false? They said the same very things. And so I was born and they immediately did tests on my organs. They brought me over into another room. They did tests on my organs, and my organs came back 100% healthy. The only thing that was affected were my limbs. And so my parents were very excited, of course. And my dad brought me into a private room. He told me this as an adult, but he brought me into a private room, and he looked me in my eyes. And he said, "Nick, I will be your arms and legs until the day that I die." If we fast forward to the 28-year-old man, the work that I'm able to do with leaders like you, I was now able to turn around to my parents at 28 and say, "No, Mom and Dad, I'm going to be the arms and legs for you." That's the power of the right psychology. That's the power of the right environment. You see, my parents would literally sit me down and they put my clothes in front of me and they say, "Figure it out." Or they put my food in front of me and they said, "Figure it out." And eventually, clearly, I learned how to dress myself. I learned how to feed myself. But what I've realized is two very important reminders that I want to share with you. The first one was they understood, and I understood at a very early age, that failure was a part of the process. The leaders who fail faster gather more data, get more clarity, and can execute. The faster that you fail, the faster that you're going to succeed. But the second thing that was massively valuable was at an early age, I was programmed to be solution-oriented. You see, most people focus on all the problems, and so they get more of the things that they don't want. I want you to remember this: you don't get the life you have, you get the life you focus on. And so as leaders, we must remind ourselves that failure is a friend. As leaders, we must remind ourselves that we need to spend more energy on the solution versus the problem, and cascade that all the way down. If your people are going to bring you problems, they better bring you solutions. But what I've realized through this data is that there's actually 3 dimensions to a leader. And I'm going to share these dimensions with you. And like I said, most of you are very intelligent human beings, so maybe this is just a gentle reminder. But most leaders are caught in the first and second dimension of a leader. The first dimension of a leader is it's all about me. It's all about me, and if my needs aren't being met, I'm gone. I don't want to do it. Halas, complete. But there's an evolution. Then the leader evolves to the second dimension of a relationship, or second dimension of a leader. And the second dimension of a leader is where a lot of leaders hang out. And that is the leader who is solely transactional. This is a leader who every single deal has to be fair. If I bring 5 marbles to the plate, you got to bring 5 marbles to the plate. And if it's not even, I leave. These are leaders who only make decisions with their head and not their heart. It's a lot of leaders like that. But the highest level of leadership that I think all of you can adopt in this very moment is the third dimension of a leader. And the third dimension of a leader states, your needs are my needs. And when I meet your needs, my needs get met. I will ask you the question just for you to ponder. Which level of leadership are you operating out of? Is it 1? Is it 2? Maybe there's room for 3. But the greatest leaders, UAE leaders, they operate from the highest dimension of leadership, and that means that your needs are my needs, and the moment that I meet your needs, my needs get met. And so I will share an example about how the UAE leadership in the third dimension of a leader changed my life forever. Now, some of you may have heard this story before. I only shared it once, and it went pretty crazy. But some of you need to be reminded of why this is one of the greatest places on earth. Back in May, my brother said, "Hey, we should go to Dubai." I'm like, "Are you crazy? I don't know anything about Dubai. I've never been in the Middle East. I'm from America." And he's like, "Just trust me. Let's go to Dubai." And so I go to Dubai in May, and we book a 9-day trip. And by day 3, because of this magical experience, on day 3, I looked at my brother and said, "We're selling everything and we're moving to the UAE." But the magical moment was this. I was at the beach and I needed to use the restroom. And so I go to the restroom and I notice that there's 3 restrooms. There was a male restroom. There was a female restroom. And then there was a restroom that was labeled POD. And I didn't know what that meant. And so I go to one of the workers and I said, "Sir, which bathroom do I use? Do I use the male one? What does this mean?" And he goes, "That's your bathroom." I said, "I got a private bathroom?" I said, "What does POD mean?" And he got down to my level and he looked me in my eyes and said, "Sir, here in the Middle East, in UAE, we don't use the word handicap. We don't use the word crippled. We don't use the word disabled. Here, people like you are called people of determination." And because the leadership was able to change the meaning, they were able to change lives. I want you to understand this. When you change the story, you change your life. When you change the meaning, you change your life as well. I'll give you one more example. I'm living in Dubai, and I'm in Haptor City. And I got my automatic wheelchair. Someone on my team got me an automatic wheelchair, so I'm cruising around Haptor City in my wheelchair. And I noticed that there wasn't some wheelchair ramps where I can access some different cafes. But me from America, I wasn't going to voice my needs because it would take forever for them to act. And so I just ignored it. I went on with my life, enjoyed the parts of the city that that were accessible. And then all of a sudden in my team group chat, I started getting pictures. And I said, "What is this?" And they said, "Nick, I know there's cameras all over here." They said, "Nick, they must have been watching you because everywhere that you weren't able to go, there's now wheelchair ramps." They put in 4 wheelchair ramps for me to navigate my whole entire city in the small place that I live in. That is a testament to the leadership. That is a testament to the psychology. That is a testament to the UAE. And because of that, I've told it on stages very clearly that I will do everything in my power with my communication, with my influence, with my mission, with my voice to ensure that UAE becomes the most inclusive, accessible country in the world. You want to boost your economy? Be inclusive. You want to boost your economy? Do more for others than you would do for yourself. You want to boost the economy? Become the most inclusive place. Because when you do, it attracts the right talent, the right businesses, the right investments, the right opportunities, and that's where the magic happens. You see, one of the greatest breakthroughs that I've gotten living in the UAE is you can be an extremely valuable individual. You can build yourself into an amazing man, amazing woman, amazing leader. But if your environment doesn't value you, you start to question your own value. And where I'm from in America, I started to question my own value. Government has never brought me in for inclusivity, accessibility. I've built over 5 million Instagram followers. I'm doing some amazing things. Not once did they ever want to take things to the next level. But when I moved to UAE, I told them, I'm an offering to you. Any way that I can be a blessing, any way that you can bolt me into the infrastructure, any way that we can go viral on inclusivity and accessibility, let's bring more eyeballs here, because once you're exposed to UAE, you can never be unexposed. Be honest with yourself. How many of you, with a show of hands, know people who said, I was just going to come here for a year? 20 years later, it's because they got exposed to something that was magical. And so with that being said, I want to thank the incredible leaders of UAE. I want to thank this incredible summit for the opportunity to serve. But most importantly, do not forget about putting the needs of the people first. And in return, your needs will get met. Thank you so much.